Whether or not Bigfoot exists or not, I can neither confirm nor deny. I would probably think it's plausible for something that size to be running around North America at some point, you know, because there's so much vast forest and whatnot that it hasn't, people aren't in it every day. So, but my experience was me and my dad and my mom, sister, and a couple friends, we were out camping out in East Texas. Everybody had gone to sleep, and it was just me and my dad up around the campfire sitting and talking and just hanging out. And you know, we were sitting there drinking a few beers. It wasn't like we were plastered hearing a cow in the distance and then, oh, what's that? It wasn't like that. It was, we're sitting down, it was winter time, and all of a sudden I heard this sound that was, well, we heard this sound that I can't even, I don't have the capacity to even try to duplicate the sound. I've been around livestock and I know what animals make what sounds, and I've never heard this sound. It wasn't a coyote. It was real high pitched and then came down to this real low guttural growl. It was just, and I was like, whoa, what the fuck was that? And he looked at me, and when my dad looked at me and he was as white as a sheet, I was like, this ain't good. This is very, very bad. So I had a handgun in the truck. I actually went and got the handgun and racked around off in the chamber. I went and sat back down by the fire because even though it sounded like it was off in the distance, really thinking about it, it was a lot closer than we thought, because it was too clear and it was too, you know, it's kind of hilly out there with a lot of forestry trees, and so you can't really, it's hard to judge by sound how far away something is. But I've thought about this a lot. The more I've thought about it, the closer that whatever was making that sound was to us. It couldn't have been more than, I would say, had to have been 500 feet or less. After that sound happened, like no traffic through the park or anything, no traffic like that. All of a sudden, the game warden starts driving around in his truck, spotlighting, and so, which kind of leads me to think that he's had dealings and he was out there looking to see what was out there, because why else would you hear that sound and then all of a sudden start driving around spotlighting trying to see what the hell that was? So that's even more further evidence that it wasn't just me and my dad, you know, being drunk around a campfire. But then I watch these episodes of Finding Bigfoot or Finding Sasquatch, whatever that show is, and they're like, oh, this is a Sasquatch call. It was identical to what was on that show, and there's no joke whatsoever. It was identical. And on those videos, it's always real faint, like you could hear it way in the distance. This wasn't faint that night. It was like, it was loud. It was like very, very distinct what it was. And the call was so long that when it first started, like I thought it was a coyote because it was real high pitch. It was like, yeah, and then it just kind of went, like I said, to a real, it was like this dual octave guttural growl. And me and my dad actually looked at each other while the call was still being sounded, because it was that long. It made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. And whether or not it was a Bigfoot, you know, I don't know. But whatever the fuck made that sound, I don't want to fucking meet it in the middle of the night in the woods. Fuck that. Nope, not happening.